So this started with a decision by President Biden. He announced during the campaign he would pick an African-American female to serve on the court. And, you know, we've had our differences in our party about that. But the bottom line is there were a lot of qualified African-American women that the president could have chosen. I would expect him to choose somebody different than I would have chosen. I'd expect him to choose someone that would be associated with the liberal camp. I expect all that. Michelle Childs was supported by Congressman Clyburn. She's a district court judge from South Carolina. He called me and asked if, you know, I'm thinking about pushing her. What do you think? I said, well, I know her pretty well. Somebody I could support. I think Senator Scott knew her pretty well. So for whatever it matters, yeah, I think we could get some Republican votes for Michelle Childs. And that's how this whole thing started. Then the left responded pretty fiercely. All of the groups that are associated with this Arabella organization, the George Soros world, basically declared war on nominees other than Judge Jackson. Now I know why. Now I know why they wanted her. And let me give you an example of why they wanted her. The immigration case. President Trump decided to use statutory authority granted to any president for expedited removal procedures for people here 2 years or less. He expanded the Obama policy. The statute in question is about as clear as you could write a law. If you had a contest to write a law to tell a judge this is a discretionary decision, this statute would win. Sole discretion of the secretary unreviewable. So Judge Jackson, the plaintiff was in the Arabella chain. It was one of these groups from New York that was getting money from the Soros world. And, you know, they're very activists. They have a right to be whatever they want to be. At the end of the day, she did, I think, legal gymnastics to say that the decision violated the Administrative Procedures Act. If I had to explain to a law school class what activism looks like, it would be the immigration case involving Trump. So this was an audition to the left, and I think she passed. The criminal cases have been explored in great detail, and I want to thank Senator Cruz and Hawley and the other members of the committee for asking her hard questions about how she sentences people in the criminal realm. I think that is very fair game. I thought she was incredibly evasive. And what did I get out of the hearing? That her sentencing methodology has no deterrence when it comes to child pornography, in my view. The sentencing enhancing factors of using the internet, a computer, and the volume of information she routinely ignores. She made a policy decision as a judge. I will not hold it against the criminal defendant for the amount of pornography they possess. I think that is a huge mistake. I think every judge should hold it against criminal defendants in this arena for the amount of pornography they possess, because every photo, every image, every video is a destroyed life. She also says, I will not hold it against the defendant for accessing electronic means, because this statute was written to deal with mail, pornography sent through the mail. If you've been paying any attention to this area for the last 30 years, the venue of choice now is the internet. There are 85 million images of children being abused on the internet. I would like to deter the internet from being the venue of choice. So she literally said she thought it would be unfair to punish somebody for just hitting a button because that's so easy. In my world, in our world, I think, every time you hit the button, you should go to jail longer. So if other judges are replicating this, if this is a problem with our judiciary, I want to find out about it and do something about it. So President Biden made a political choice, and he has every right to make that choice. He wanted to satisfy the most radical elements in the Democratic Party. And I think he's been successful in doing that. And I just conclude with this thought, that Senator Booker, who's a good friend, had a fairly dramatic reading of the vote regarding Judge Jackson, highlighting the historical nature that this is the first African-American female to ever ascend to the court. And that's something, you know, that's a good day for America, for the court to look more like the country that the court presides over. But what I will never let go is the idea that was possible because of the filibuster by Democrats of a highly qualified African-American nominee by President Bush Janice Rogers Brown. The reason she's not the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court is because they filibustered her and denied her that ability. They held her ideology against her. They said she was too extreme, and not one person in the media ever mentioned the fact that they're filibustering an African-American woman who is in line to be on the Supreme Court because the media agrees. What have we learned from this hearing? Double standards abound. That if you asked hard, penetrating questions, then all of a sudden you're a racist if the nominee is a liberal African-American. You can literally filibuster these people, African-American, Hispanic nominees, as a Democrat and get applauded. We don't like that, and we're not going to put up with that. So we're always going to remind the public that the only reason Judge Jackson is the first African-American female to go on the court is they stopped a Republican nominee because of her ideology. To my Democratic friends, we're not going to forget that. And if we get in charge of the Senate in 2022, 2023, we have a majority. I can promise you nominees like this will not make it through. That we'll go back to the old system of collaboration. It's not that there won't be any more judges, but I promise you that if we were in charge and we had a say, there would be somebody less extreme filling this seat. And I want to tell my Democratic friends, as you celebrate this nomination, I will never, ever forget what you did to Miguel Estrada and Janice Rogers Brown.